Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart. Today I'll be breaking down this showdown slate. We have game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals between Miami and Boston. Going to be talking through my favorite captain plays as well as my favorite utility plays for this slate. I'll have my final core plays on my Patreon link down below, so make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get into this breakdown. So starting off with the Boston side here, we have Tatum at the top, 13.4K. One of those situations where it's obviously very hard to fade Tatum just because he's going to be playing. If this game stays close, he will be playing close to 44 minutes. Obviously, a win or go home for Boston here. And we know that the floor and ceiling has been absolutely massive with Tatum, even with him struggling in the fourth quarter. He finally turned it on in the past two games. So, yeah, I mean, I love Tatum here. Obviously, probably the best, or I guess most optimal captain play alongside Jimmy. I'm trying to decide between which two I want to go to right now for my captain. I think I'm leaning towards Jimmy, but they both look great. It's hard not to get at least both of them in my lineup for tonight. Jaylen Brown, just more of that contrarian play there in the upper mid-range, 9-4. He actually had a decent game last game. The game blew out. So a lot of these guys' numbers were down from where they could have been if the game stayed close. But yeah, he finally had a solid game last game. So I don't mind him in the mid, kind of the upper mid-range. I do think he'll still be contrarian. Marcus Smart is a safe play. Now, he did get 5 steals, which is 10 points right there. So cut that in half. He would have had still a very solid game, probably mid-30s fantasy points. But yeah, he's a solid play there, 8,000. I do really like him at that price tag. Same thing with Horford. He's had 2 solid games in a row. Horford's one of those guys where he won't shoot a lot, but if he makes a few shots, then he should be able to do the rest with his peripheral stats and get you hopefully close to 30 fantasy points. He can even do more if he is hitting a few more shots. So I do really like Horford and Smart there in the mid-range. Derek White's probably going to be mega chalk. Just because we don't know if Brogdon will play. If he does, we don't know how many minutes he'll get. He only played 8 minutes and did not return in the second half there, so it's looking doubtful that he'll be able to play tonight. And if he does, I'm not really sure how many minutes he'll get. He's just a super, super risky play. So if you do play him, it's one of those things you really just hope he makes a few shots and they extend him to maybe 20 minutes. But right now, it's really looking like he's not going to be getting many minutes moving forward with that just right arm injury. It's just really hindering his performance. So he's just more of a stay away. If you're making a bunch of lineups, you could definitely get risky and throw him in a few. Hopefully it pans out. But yeah, right now there's pretty much no Brogdon. So Derek White's going to be the main beneficiary. He started, played 37 minutes, actually had a very, very good game there. Kind of scoring dependent at times, but he's also pretty solid at getting steals and blocks. So yeah, I think he's a solid play. It's going to be hard not to play him. But if he's going to be mega, mega chalk, I'd like to get different elsewhere. Robert Williams, it's just one of those things. If you're playing him, you're really hoping for Al Horford foul trouble, then he should see mid-20s minutes. Otherwise, he's kind of floating around that 20-minute mark, and at that price tag, he's just more of not even like a good play, just more of just a risky kind of bad play there at that price tag. If it was like 3,000, if it was like 3,500 or 4,000, I'd like him. But at 5,000, you really need Al Horford foul trouble. Otherwise, he's just not worth your time there at that price tag. Grant Williams, another guy who's gonna be super chalk. I talked about this before this last game, that he's one of those guys that he can go out there, play close to 30 minutes and really not do much. And we saw that last game, only 1 of 4, 13.5 fantasy points. So he does have that low floor, even if he does get the minutes. But once again, 3,200, I think he's a great value play down there, at that price tag. And that is really it. If there's no Brogdon, we'll probably see a few minutes go to Peyton Pritchard. He got a couple in that last game there. But it's not necessarily a guarantee. But if you wanted to do the, play a minimum price guy, he'd be the best option, just because there's that chance that he does play, because they just want to throw him in for 5 minutes. Maybe he gets you a few points. And it's just all upside there because he's 1,000 the flat minimum price tag. Or this game, blows out and he gets a blowout run. So there's a few different ways, Pritchard could get involved with tonight. Obviously, don't expect huge minutes at all, or really any minutes at all. But yeah, I mean, he could definitely help you out there at the flat minimum price tag and allow you to pay up for another pretty solid player if you're going the more stars and scrubs route. On the Miami side here, I think I'm going to go to Jimmy at captain. Hopefully we get a Jimmy legacy game tonight. But yeah, I love him just with how good he is at basketball and just the whole team here. So yeah, he looks great. Kind of 2 letdown games in a row. Only shot the ball 10 times, only played 34 minutes. Once again, it was a blowout, but yeah, I mean, Jimmy looks great. Bam has actually been pretty solid. Another bounce back spot there. He's actually doing pretty decent. Did not play in the fourth quarter, So I like him. I prefer him over Jaylen Brown, but I do think both of them will still be decently contrarian. I do think Bam will be a little bit more popular, but I think both those two guys are pretty solid plays, contrarian plays there at that kind of second tier price tag under Jimmy and Jason Tatum. A lot of people kind of overlook that tier just because it's easier to get two guys like Smart and Horford in them, but I do think it'd be a pretty smart move to get at least one of Brown or Bam, and I do prefer Bam. Martin, Gabe Vincent, they said he partially went through shoot around. They said he'll pretty much try to play, so I'm assuming he'll probably start. Not really sure what the minutes are. Obviously, this is what is it, 7 hours, almost 8 hours before the game starts here, so we don't have much information yet. So we'll probably get some more in the afternoon, so I'll keep you guys updated on my Patreon. But yeah, right now it's looking like he should be good to go. I just don't know with that ankle injury, how bad it is, how many minutes he'll get, if he'll be normal and just try to go, fight the pain. Who knows? But with that in mind, Caleb Martin will move back to the bench, but he should still see close to 30 minutes off the bench there. It's just one of those things. He's not the best point per minute guy. He's pretty much around a 1 point per minute guy right now in these playoffs so far in this series, which is great. But at 6,800, I don't know. It just kind of depends on ownership there. If he's coming off the bench, I do think it'd be a lot easier to fade him and just go to a guy like Kyle Lowry, who coming off, he's a massive chalk there. Only played 30 minutes because of the blowouts, just did not do well. I like going back to him here. 6,000, home game, even with Gabe Vincent back, Kyle Lowry should see close to 30 minutes. So I do really like him. They're going to need his scoring and playmaking off the bench there. So I think Kyle Lowry is a very, very solid play. Gabe Vincent, I do like him as like more of a contrarian play there if he does actually play. I will kind of have to wait for that news, but yeah, with him back, should move Lowry back to the bench. Martin will be on the bench as well. He didn't move to the starting lineup yet. They kept him on the bench. So yeah, that's there. Strus, just more of that contrarian play there at his price tag. You just, really need him to hit his shots. If he doesn't, obviously going to really hurt you. Duncan Robinson actually came in, had 9 assists, which is crazy. Went for 37 fantasy points, probably one of his best games of this season, fantasy point wise. But it's one of those things where it's like, if Duncan hits a few shots, obviously do not expect 4 rebounds and 9 assists. But, it could be one of those games right here where he goes for 21 at 4,000, which would help you. Or if he's hitting a few more shots, can go for like 30. So Duncan Robinson's not necessarily out of play for me. I think I'd still lean towards Strus compared to Robinson, even if the big, $1,200 price tag difference, just because I think Strus's minutes are still a little bit more guaranteed. He's still a little bit better of like a rebounder, passer, can get some blocks and steals. It just comes down to, can Strus hit a shot? So I think I do like Strus a little bit as like a contrarian play for today. I do expect Robinson to pick up some ownership, even though people shouldn't chase that last game just because there's a blowout. He did get 9 assists, which is just wild for Duncan Robinson. But yeah, I think Robinson's an okay play. Kevin Love, the minutes are just not there. He's kind of maxed out at about 15 minutes, so I just don't think there's a need to get to him. And then Highsmith, maybe we see some Highsmith. He did play a lot last game, obviously, as you can see, 36 minutes. He started the second half, but with Gabe Vincent back, I'm not sure how many minutes Highsmith will get. Maybe he gets 0, maybe he gets 10, maybe he gets 15. We don't really know. If you want to take that shot, you can definitely go to him. But it's just very risky with the fact that Gabe Vincent might be back. He might be starting. Kyle Lowry moved to the bench. And then you have Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin off the bench. Elf Zeller, I don't know. Maybe Highsmith, maybe they play him more because he actually did pretty good solid last game. At the same time, he didn't crack the rotation before that. So I don't know what to do with him right now. I think right now more of just to stay away for someone who's playing only 1 or 2 entries. But if you're playing multiple entries, obviously you can take a shot on Highsmith. I think that'd be pretty solid. Cody Zeller, just going to play around 8 minutes. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't think there's a need to get to him. And that's really it. So that is kind of the breakdown for today. Obviously, nothing's really changed. Same teams playing against each other, 5 games in a row. Now we're on to game 6 here. But yeah, I really like Jimmy to step it up tonight. Kind of 2 letdown games in a row. Obviously, 2 blowouts. Really expect them here at home to try to put on a masterclass and win this game, because if it goes back to Boston, I just don't think Miami is capable of winning. Grant Williams, just love the price tag, even though he does have a pretty low floor. It's hard not to like him at 3,200. Kyle Lowry, I like him in a bounce back spot. With Gabe Vincent also back, I do think it'll take off a lot of ownership with people seeing how bad he was last game. Gabe Vincent possibly being back, I do think it will lower the ownership. But yeah, I'm gonna buy right back into Kyle Lowry, and then for like a fourth one, I'd say obviously Jason Tatum. It's hard not to like him, but then you only have 4,000 left over to play or pick for two guys. So right now, deciding if I want to go that route with Tatum or if I'm gonna go more of like a mid-range build, throw in like maybe a Bam, and then go for like a mid-range guy like a Smart or like a Derek White. You could easily make it work. So right now, these are the three I'm really focusing around building around: is Jimmy Butler, captain, Grant Williams, and Kyle Lowry as my utility plays, and going from there. So if you guys like the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my Patreon link down below. I'll have a PrizePicks video out after this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.